The World Series of Fighting 8 results are in, crowning two new champions, the first ever women's fight, and another Anthony Johnson knockout. So the night started with what I would say was the fight of the night, really. It was the only fight for me which you saw a decent fight. It was the only one which went past the second round for one, and it was the only fight that went past the second round, and people weren't falling over because the next fight went the distance. But that was a terrible fight. But we'll get on to that in a minute. Luis Palomino defeated Jorge Patino uh, by punches in the second round. He dropped him and then landed the ground and pound. It was a good fight. Started off a bit quiet. The crowd started booing. That seemed to affect the fighters. They got into it a bit more then, and then pushed forward. And Luis Palomino came out on top. In the next fight, it was Cody bollinger versus Tyson, and this was a bore fest really. But Cody Bollinger now moves to 15-2, which is a good record. He's a young guy, so if he can stand his feet a bit better, then he may have a future in the business. The first ever women's strawweight champion was crowned. That was Jessica Aguilar with an arm and triangle choke in the first round. She squeezed that pretty tight to get the win. She then said she was glad to sign with the World Series of Fighting, and she's glad to be their champion. And she basically, not in the words, but basically said she don't care that she didn't sign for the UFC. She wanted to be with the World Series of Fighting, and I believe she did. I'm sure she knew that the UFC were signing all these strawweights, and she could have gone there, but maybe she got offered a better deal. She obviously got offered a title shot straight away. She's got that, and now will be the World Series of Fighting's answer to Ronda Rousey, no doubt. Anthony Johnson continued his good run outside the UFC by knocking out Mike Kyle in the first round. Uh, he just bulldozed this really. It was a good win for him against Mike Kyle, who's not a bad fighter. He's been around and he knows what it's like to fight at the top level. And Anthony Johnson was just a level above him. And I think he's now for sure. Not I think he's going to go on and do very well. I think he's going to go back to the UFC, but he's definitely got a title shot. And it's hard to place him because he struggled in the UFC. I know he's a lot younger and he's matured a lot now, but he struggled in his last run. So and now he's dominating outside of the UFC. So he's in that tough position. I think if he goes back, he does better than he did in his first run, though, and that's my honest opinion. And then it was time for the main event, the lightweight title fight, where Justin Gaethje defeated Richard Patishnock by TKO yet again. First round knockout. He just bulldozed him basically. Came out with a flying knee. They then got into a bit of a clinch, throwing punches, pushed up against the cage. He landed some big blows, and then the referee stepped in, and that was the end of the fight. A good night for World Series of Fighting. I see them as above Bellator as the number 2 industry in mixed martial arts. The only thing that was terrible about tonight was the internet stream, as I've said, but that sucked. But if they can get that sorted, then that would have been a great night of fighting tonight. There were some big names, 2 title fights, some fresh things, their first ever winning fight. So it's good times for World Series of Fighting. I still think they need a world class fighter, a world class name. Maybe Nick Newell's that guy, maybe. Anyway, that's it. Results coming for the Lucian Bute Jean Pascal fight later tonight.